Hello! Yes, it's working. It's been so long. Welcome to the Heavyweight Gaming Channel. We are a channel that does lots of RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder 2nd Ed, Carbon 2185, which is a cyberpunk 5th Ed, and we've had Tales of the Loke, Vampire the Masquerade, Masks. We get lots of stuff going on. We are playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th Ed tonight in our homebrew campaign, Fables Among Titans, in our homebrew world of Colossus. It's ace, I love it. We're on session 35. Yeah, all that good stuff. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on all the social medias. We're all over there. We're all over it. Go check us out. Sometimes we post lots. Sometimes we don't post that. But no. Social media. We use Syrinscape for all our background stuff. It's amazing. It's cool. If you really like ambient music or sound effects, anything going on in your games, whether remotely or at the table, Syrinscape is amazing. If you want to do it remotely, I strongly advise downloading the Syrinscape online player. It's only in the beta version at the minute, but we've test run it, and a friend of mine test run it with his party, and so far so good. So we'll be introducing that to the players over the next couple of weeks. Sponsors. We're sponsored by everyone. Everyone wants a piece of the heavyweight action. So we've got Loke Battle Mats, who have just about to, maybe this week, next week, do their Wilderness Kickstarter. Go check it out. The stuff they do is incredible. They are artists that have designed flip out books, basically, of battle mats that you put down on your table, and boom, you've got your forest, your tundra, your towns and taverns that they recently done, tunnels, sewers, all sorts of stuff for you to do your battle mats. They do them in A3, A4 and A5. They also do digital versions that you can use on your virtual tabletops, such as Roll20, Fantasy Grounds and others. So go check out Loki Battle Mats. They're great. Just go to DM's Guild. Some are free, some are pay what you want, and some are obviously set at a bit of a price. But I strongly recommend them, whether you're doing it at home or online. Coyote Grey. He's an artist that sells his chibi tokens on Roll20, so you'll have to go to Roll20 if you want to buy them. But if you've got Roll20, go to the market, type in Coyote Grey, and you'll see his little chibi packs. There's like 50, 60 tokens in each one. Different colourings of the different sets. They're great. He originally started doing them for his own campaign, so they're flavoured towards his own campaign, but now he's started branching out doing other stuff which fits some of my games. Also, we're looking at putting together the chibi tokens for Colossus, which I think is fucking amazing, and he's just released a cyberpunk set that I've recently started using in our cyberpunk games. So go check out Coyote Grey. We've got Ruffworx Creative, who is beyond talented when it comes to woodwork and leatherwork. As Sawdust has pointed out many times, he quite literally tears the wood apart with his bare hands, blood, sweat and tears, and eventually will get you a very unique, never to be recreated piece of customised kit, whatever it is you're after. He was responsible for my incredible Dungeon Master screen, which I'll be displaying more and more throughout this year, hopefully in real life at some point. So go check out the photos of that or the videos on the Heavyweight Gaming Facebook, and you'll see he's just super talented. Our other sponsor for tonight is Ashana, and has been pretty much since day dot. She's a glass crafter. She makes glass figurines. She streams the same time as we do on a Tuesday, so we tend to raid her at the end of the session. She's currently working on her D&D miniatures that she's doing of glass. I may have sent forward 4 or 5 examples of what to do, but yeah, she's currently working on them. If you go check out her streams and her social medias, her Instagrams and stuff like this, you'll be able to see the examples of the test runs she's done on miniatures for her own D&D games. And she also does little glass dragon protectors that look after your D20s. Mainly Mel's, because they're an absolute nightmare. So yeah, so check out Ashana. So that's it. Loki Battle Mats, Coyote Grey, Ashana, Ruffworx Creative. If you feel like throwing 200 bits at this particular session, then this lot will get a free reroll that they can use on any of their rolls. They can't carry them over. They can only hold 5 at one point, and they can't use them on the DM rolls, and they cannot use them on their death saving throws. So yeah, so if you feel like doing that, great, lovely. Thank you very much if you do. We are missing the beautiful Jade tonight, as she's she's lucky, gets to chill out and laugh at these lot kill themselves. So she's in chat. Hello, Emis. So Xandria may be quieter than normal and less stabby. Just putting it out there. So that's it. Bits. What else? What have I missed? What have I missed, man?
Tasha's.
Tasha's cauldron of heavy bits and and stuff.
Tasha's
heavier crock pot of bits and bobs.
Oh my god.
There you go. Right.
Jeez, oh man.
Look, I'm just the face, all right. I'm just the face. An incredible, beautiful 5th edition book put together by Arcane and some very, very talented writers and artists. You can go to the DM School. The link is in the chat right now. Go check it out. It has sold over 100 copies, I think. So yes,
120 last check.
There you go. 81 pages of subclasses, spells, artwork, and everything tabletop roleplay gaming player wants for less than a tenner. So you're laughing. Go check it out. It's amazing. And look out this year for us releasing bigger and better stuff. It's going to be beautiful. We've already paid for the artwork for most of it, so. Well, at least the cover art for our. Yeah. Right, what's that? That's done. Are we done? Am I done?
Yeah, we've got to play the game, but apart from that, I think so.
God damn.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for coming. So, just trying to put some spooky music on while I do a little recap. Last time on Critical now. Over the last couple of sessions, this lot have been heading back to the Ivory Wall. The reason being is Harry has decided he needs to return home and basically get a bit of closure of stuff that's gone on in the last decade of his life. His good chums have gone with him. Along the way, certain things have been discovered that were a bit of a surprise. Soultaker turned up in one point. A dwarf tried to assassinate Sapphire. His mistake. Harry fell in a river. They also fought an enormous demonic spider cretin. They survived, which is good. And Kesfion managed to save a pair of sausage rolls. Other sausage rolls are available. Greg's. After the fight, they're having a bit of a settle down. Sapphire is no longer in bear form, and you've got your next move to make towards the wall. Or whatever it is you're doing right now.
What time of day is it?
It is late afternoon.
Yeah, so I think we'd just... I think you'd healed up the two that were guiding us.
I haven't healed any. Well, I think we literally finished right at the end of the fight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did.
So yeah, the fight has just finished. Kess, you're still in the woods with the two.
Because I was headed towards...
You was heading towards Kess.
Yeah, sorry.
Sapphire, Harry, and Xandria was still out with Icky, Mincy Spider. Three, two, one, go.
Is the forest floor still covered in the...
You notice that the goop is degrading, but it is still there.
Keep making my way.
Cool.
I know you'd said that the guy had stabled. Can I do a medicine check to see how the other one's doing?
I think you already did.
Did I?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're aware that they're both alive.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, sorry.
I might have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure. They're both alive, with your keen eyes. But they're just in a bit of a shit state. They're both unconscious as well.
Okay, I will probably glance between them and Ruby, and is everyone else okay? Did they... what? Where are they?
Well, Spider's dead. Harry fell in the
Spider?
water.
I suppose so, yeah.
Oh, right, okay, so what was under the bridge was a demon spider. That's dead.
That's good.
Yeah, that's presumably why the floor is getting a bit less sticky. Yeah. Harry fell in the water. Your sister fished him out. We should probably
Yeah,
maybe think about making camp or something.
I want to get these guys out of. And we'll just kind of like a gesture.
Well, you get one, I get the other.
Yeah, got a preference? Is there one that looks heavier?
They are of a similar build and kit to be wandering the woodland.
Cool. I'll just heft one of them then.
Are you heading towards the bridge?
Yeah, heading back out towards the rest of the.
Cool.
Ruby like hefts the other one across her shoulders like you would carry a sheep.
Damn it. Yeah.
Or like a
Sit
yoke.
down.
Yeah.
It's alright. Jesus. It'll take you a couple of minutes, but you eventually make your way back to Ari, Xandria, and Sapphire. Andrea, Xandria, and Dandria. Ari, Xandria, and Sapphire, you will notice that the shadowy amalgamation of shadows is still beneath the bridge, but is a lot more closed in and less spilling out of the sides.
Well, welcome back, I suppose. Hello.
You see Cass and Ruby carrying two bodies.
Are they okay?
They're alive.
That's always a good start.
They're not going to be leading us anywhere anytime soon, though.
No, we should probably get somewhere safe. Hopefully we can go across the bridge.
I don't like the shadow still under there though.
Nor do I.
I can shout in Infernal again.
Please don't.
Yeah, I figured it was a bad idea this time.
If we're gonna go around, would you mind taking, or are we gonna stop here for a bit?
Harry kind of looks at Sapphire.
Because I wouldn't mind putting him down.
Oh, I will. If one way or another, I'll take over the carrying. If we're gonna take a quick break here, that's fine. We can put them down and let them and rest them a bit. But depends if you guys want to have a rest before we try and cross this bridge.
I mean, I'm fine, but I don't trust the bridge, but I don't think we've got much of an option. I mean, the other way around is going to be difficult. While I think we'll just kind of like raise a shoulder that's like got the other one like slung over. Probably don't want to be trying to traverse anywhere particularly exciting with.
No.
An unconscious human
I just
ranger.
don't know whether. I don't know whether to go across now though before it decides to spawn another spider.
I'd like to not face another one of those things for a while now.
So we head across then?
I'd like to try it.
Okay.
I'll go first if you want and try and go across quickly, I guess.
That makes sense. You're pretty agile, what with your parkouring and everything. He sounds slightly jealous. As, he's a monk. It's what he does. With your skills of parkour, and he goes over to Ruby and like offers to take the dude off her.
Yeah, Ruby hands off the unconscious body. Because strong for her size is still not as strong as Sapphire.
Do any of you speak Draconic?
Well, no, because it's a separate language, isn't it? Speech of the Beasts doesn't.
No.
No. Yeah, it's its own thing. It's its own category. No?
Oh.
Cool. And you're heading over the bridge first, Harry?
Mm-hmm.
As your feet touch the other side, you just hear a... No one else
I don't
hears
care
it.
for that.
No one else hears it. Just Harry.
Oh, okay.
There's a weird noise, but it seems okay.
Weird, weird how. Not that I don't trust your
Yeah, weird,
self-preservation
bit
instincts.
vague.
Yeah.
Just, I don't really know how to describe it.
Did it sound like it was coming from whatever's underneath or ahead of you?
That is a good question. Where did it sound like it was coming from?
The sky!
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. You know when you go over a hill pretty quick and it dips? You get
Yeah.
a little feeling in your tummy. That's what it felt like when it growled.
Not pleasant.
It was like a growl, but I can't tell where it came from. It just seemed to kind of come from all around.
Sapphire looks oddly excited by that.
I'm
Would be clapping
gonna
if one
have,
hand was.
Yeah.
have
Don't-
like a little sort of cursory.
Give me a
To see
perception
if
check.
I can see anything that might be making a scary noise. It's not a great perception check, but it's there. It's 16.
Other than the gash in the ground that the bridge is going over, it's nothing. You know, the recently excavated slabs and such. There's nothing new to the scene that you spent 36 seconds in killing stuff.
Yeah.
If I want to make a roll to see if Ruby wants to try and work out what kind of growl it might be based on the limited information available, would it be nature?
Go for
I
it.
mean, we didn't hear
You-
it, so I'm not
You
sure. how
have
much
the
we
word
can-
of Ari. I'll say
Yeah.
the DC is fucking up there. But, yeah.
Not exactly the most descriptive.
I'm gonna.
Or maybe not
Try and
that
dash
then,
across.
but like a nature check to see what kind of growly animals would likely inhabit this kind of area. So should I be going, look out for wolves, or there's probably coyotes nearby, or...
Cool, you roll. Did you just run over, Cass?
Yeah. Okay.
As you join Ari and your feet touch the ground on the other side of the bridge, you hear a.
And I'm presuming similar. Doesn't sound like it's coming from any particular location.
Again, you get that feeling in your tummy like you've just gone over a dip really quick. It's like you're in it.
Yeah.
It's like you're in the sound.
Ari, I think we should head back.
Really? Do we not want to move on?
Some things not.
Okay.
Can I? I'm trying to think of what it would be to see if he's ever encountered something like.
Give me a survival check.
Oh, that's a bit more like it. That is a 21.
The closest thing it reminds you of is a desert Komodo. The giant lizards on the sands, when they growl at you, and they're like 8 to 12 feet in length. They make a very audible growl.
And it just sounds like it's coming from absolutely.
Sounds like you're in it. Imagine you were sat in the mouth of a Komodo and it growled.
Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, Ari. I
Okay.
will
You will
use
also run
my
back
speedy
aggressively.
movement to get the nopity heck out of.
On the other side of the bridge, it is more forestry, and there are places that you can see where there's newer trees that you've obviously started noticing more and more, Ari. 2 seconds. Samson, can you be quiet? Alright, you're off to bed now anyway. I'm going to slap you live on TV. So, yeah, you notice that there are newer trees, but there's also more areas in the forest ahead of you that have been recently excavated as well. Like, there seems to be quite a large area that they've been digging around.
Something's a bit off.
And you go back over.
Yeah.
So you're now back on the other side with Zandria and 2 seconds.
Yeah, if we're gonna
You
get,
talk, roleplay amongst yourselves.
if we're gonna get in some kind of fight, then I'd rather have everyone at ultra.
I mean, the bridge is in a weird place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Possibly the bridge doesn't necessarily just go across the river. My suggestion is we maybe try going round, see if that makes any difference. I don't know the lay of this land, but there are some places where a direct route isn't always necessarily a direct route.
Yeah.
So you're thinking it could be a similar kind of thing to being the way into the Copper Forest, where it's the right way, but it's not the right way.
Yes and no, but I know that that's probably not the way we want to go right now, because I've encountered things that sound like that before, but that sounded bigger and a lot closer than you would ever really want to be to something with that many teeth.
Yeah.
Alright, why don't we...
Oh, sorry. What was
It's
your
not-
role, Ruby? What was your role? Your
Oh, like a
nurture?
15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's plenty. It's a
112.
forest. The growly creatures Ruby would expect in a forest is as far as your knowledge takes you.
Lions and tigers and bears are mine.
Even if we don't make camp here, maybe we should stop, eat. Maybe I can try and wake this pair up, perhaps going on without guides
I
would be unwise.
I don't want to leave them here. If
We're not
nothing
going to leave
else.
them here, it's whether we carry them and continue unguided while they sleep it off, or whether I
Yeah,
see what I've got in my kit that might wake them up.
I'd like to move on from this bridge and whatever's underneath it, at least to start.
If we do a little scout ahead and see kind of, we'll find a spot that we can maybe camp, whether it's on this side of the crevasse or not, but I definitely don't want to be at this bridge right now.
How about you, Cass and Ari, do a scout, and Sapphire and Xandria can stay here with me, and I'll see if I can wake them up.
Sure. We'll
Works for me. I'm fine with whatever.
scoot ahead, see if there's a way round which doesn't have terrifying draconic growling. Cause not a fan of that.
Well, what have you encountered that sounds like dragons, then?
I
Just
mean,
out of
that was
curiosity.
Luke saying, not
okay.
Kess.
I got that. I was like, yeah.
So
Just don't say it around Ruby, she's probably up for meeting a dragon.
I was like, I want to go over
Jesus.
the bridge, but
I
realizes that you're being
Gave her
sensitive.
the surname for a reason. She would
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm gonna wrestle it. Yeah. So we'll kind of head off a bit, sort of down, because I'm just having a look at the map we had before, like down to kind of the right, where it kind of like tapers off.
Yeah, because I seem to remember you saying like we could kind of almost like walk around it.
We can
yeah,
walk
there
around
is
it,
a
we
so there is
take us
about
maybe an hour extra
yeah
or
just
something.
to go down. It's about 100 feet maybe down.
Yeah.
Carries on down. Don't let the map fool you. That you could go around said gash in the ground.
Because I remembers this from when he was a kid, and obviously there was no crevasses and massive.
There was
gaps
no
in the ground.
cut. The excavation, the cut, the bridge, all this is new. The trees themselves are obviously new. But you asked Haria about that, and he told you that you've been regrowing stuff, that trying to keep them out of the cycle of the copper forest and such.
Yeah.
The bridge, I can't remember just because it's been a minute. Was the bridge new
Yes.
looking, or did it look like it was in keeping with?
It looks like it was made to deliberately cross this huge gash and to get stuff across it. It's newish.
Okay, I was just trying to work out if it was in keeping with whatever was being excavated, or
Yeah. It's of everything around you is of the same time scale. A good decade. So maybe not long after.
So the bridge, I'm trying to work out, is the bridge and the trees same time scale?
Sorry, the
or
bridge and the trees
and
are the
whatever
same.
they've
No,
dug out
the bridge and the
ground?
trees are the same time scale,
Cool.
and the excavation is obviously ancient stuff.
Yeah.
But the bridge has been put there more of a logistics aid
Yeah.
rather than an ancient crossing.
Okay, cool.
Ariel kind of like probably kind of come with you and kind of try and like see how far it kind of is to scoot round, but probably not necessarily like maybe just kind of go around the other side and just sort of see if there's like still that kind of weird noise, but essentially not go too far because he's more kind of aware that they've got some guides with them that know the area very well. That could probably do with waking up first. He's an intelligent man.
I would at least like to try and get round to the equivalent of where we were, or as
Yeah.
far as I can get round before.
Yeah,
The
if we hear the
growling
noise
starts.
again, then we're turning round, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're all crossing the bridge?
Nope. We're
No.
not crossing the bridge.
You're going to walk
We're
down.
going-
Right, so
Yeah.
you all set off walking, carrying the two with you. Obviously, nope.
No, Ruby, Sapphire, and Xandria are staying where they
And
were.
seeing
at
if
the
you two
original
are off to-
side of
and
the
you two are
bridge,
off to
and
scout
they're
ahead.
doing a scout.
Okay, so you give me a medicine. In fact, because Kesvin's already checked, roll me 2d4s. Kes.
That is
And
two
he bo-
threes.
2 3s, cool. Gina, you roll a medicine check.
Right, I have just remembered I have guidance. So I'm going to cast guidance on myself.
And
just cantrip.
add a d4 to your roll.
It's add a d4 to the d20.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Christ, just as well. That's 6 and then 3 on the medicine check. Yeah.
Yeah.
Total of 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
I will say that you don't think you'll be able to bring them around quickly, and there's a couple of hours in them of rest that'll bring them around naturally. 2 or 3 hours tops.
Yeah.
But you are aware that they are safe, or at least they're not dying.
They're safe.
Yeah, they're safe enough that you're there. But you don't think you've got all in the tank to bring them round without using straight magic. Yep. Ari and Kesvion, you
Yeah.
travel on. How far away are you going? Right to the tip.
Yeah. Like
I'm immature. I can't help myself.
whatever keeps you happy.
The
Sort of down and almost like crossing over to the other side. So, say if we can get round, like ideally, I want to try and like loop right round so that we're on the other side of the bridge. But if we
Okay. So as you get
get growling before then,
as you
then-
get to the point where this large gash in the ground is, can you give me a survival check, and Ari, can you give me a perception check?
Oh, that's not bad. 17.
17.
plus 5 is maths 23. My
Ari,
survival's a plus stupid number.
as you look as you notice, Kess stops and takes a knee and is examining where the points in the ground meet. You look into the tree line of the fresh trees, and you swear blind you see a wooden door. Like, imagine a heavily thick greenery, and just beyond it you see the wood of a building of a door, but it's almost like a mirage. It shimmers there and gone. But what you do realise is once the image is gone, your hand is on your rapier. Kess, while something takes your eye, you look down, and it's just the way the ground meets. And you look into it, and you're looking around, and you get that there's clearly been an excavation. I mean, you come from a place that a strong wind will cover up, years of ruins just because of the sand. But here they've done a good job of excavating everything. But this looks almost not undisturbed in that it's now there, but they haven't dug it up. It hasn't been dug by tools or anything. You kind of look back where you've just walked from, up where the gash kind of thins out towards you but is wider up towards the bridge, and you're completely convinced that a claw, this looks like a large claw mark.
Whose idea was it to come back to the wall?
Ari,
Yeah.
you know how I said that it sounded big?
Yeah.
I think it's really, really big. As in, I think this is a claw mark. Really, really big.
Oh. Oh shit. Okay.
It's old, like really old, to the point where you couldn't, even with your high roll, give a time of when it was made. But considering it wasn't visible until they excavated, you can assume that it's as old, if not on par with the current excavations around you.
It's not fresh. Obviously, the bridge is over the top, but with the rumbling that we heard, I don't want to be wandering into whatever this is territory.
Yeah. However, I mean, we're not the first people to cross that bridge. Like, presume our guys would have come from that direction.
I mean, I would assume so.
Originally.
They clearly didn't fight a big spider thing when they came across either.
There's also something a bit weird over that kind of indicates without trying to indicate.
Can I have a look in the direction he's
Yep, go for it.
indicating
Perception.
without indicating?
Next near on the left here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see much, I don't think.
I like the idea of like they're stood facing each other and like Cass is back to it and Ari's like, look, but don't be obvious.
Kess looks at the sky and then roll. What'd you get?
That is an 18.
It's quite a lot of green trees. Bar the looming Ivory Wall, half a day ahead of you. You don't see anything that would worry Harry.
I mean, it's more forest, but
There's a weird door that was there for a bit, but it's weird. Do you want to go back to the others for now and see what our guides say?
I mean, I'm presuming from a glance back over. In fact, no, they're like 100 feet away. We're not against shit.
They're dots. But
They're dots. I realised that as soon as it came out of my mouth. I don't know, is it worth possibly looping round, taking a couple of further steps over, see if we're getting the growling again? At least then we know if we're having to go further into the woods or not.
Yeah, that's true. Let's keep going a little bit then.
So you've now gone past the point and to the other side, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Nothing.
Kind of like heading back towards that other side of the bridge, basically. Just
As you are heading towards the bridge, there's no sound, no growl, other than normal natural sounds. It's quite quiet, to be fair, but there's no growly sounds.
Does it look the same as when we came across the bridge? Like,
It does.
okay. Kind of begs the question why you build the bridge.
Possibly just quicker.
Possibly. I mean, it follows the path, I guess, but seems bizarre. We can go back and we can ask the others when they wake up and see what's happened to them, because obviously they got captured incredibly quickly last time. In the space of, I think it was for about 10 minutes or so. So yes, I want to find out what's happened there, because I'm pretty sure they're pretty experienced, and to get captured that quickly is
Whatever
unusual.
that darkness is, though, can move in ways you wouldn't expect.
The spider wasn't exactly expecting.
So while you guys are doing that, Sapphire and Ruby, were you doing anything during their jaunt? Or were you just tending the wounded?
How long do they take?
All in all, probably about 40 minutes. 45 minutes to get down there, moving at speed, checking stuff out, coming up the other side.
Sapphire, you weren't hurt?
Not much.
Like,
Not really, no.
was
Few points down,
Zandria,
nothing big.
does anyone know?
Few points. Most big character I've ever heard in my life.
I had to put a number on it. I'd probably say.
Between 1 and 48.
4 hit points of blood. I don't know how bad Zandria was. Can we look at Zandria?
Zandria looks as frail as she ever did, with that iron jaw strength behind her eyes.
I don't think she got hit though last time. She kept the distance most of the time.
Yeah.
So I don't
I
she
think
got
the only
hit.
people that got, like,
She sent
slapped
Pyro.
about were...
Sapphire and
You do
Yeah,
notice
Harry.
that Pyro's hanging around. He's just sort of stood there in his flaming, like, black iron armour. No features, no eyes.
most useful member of the party.
Oh, yeah, right. That's more hit points than I do.
He's also faster.
Yeah, exactly. He's more useful than I am.
But he's just stood next to Zandria, like 3.5 foot high, sword and shield. Little mini fire paladin.
Aw.
Alright, so, would you like magical healing? Or would you like me to roll a medicine check on you? Or would you like to leave it?
Who are you asking?
Sapphire.
Sapphire.
Oh,
Oh no! Honestly, it wasn't. I'm fine. It's a few scrapes and scratches. I'll be okay.
You see him trying to put his arm back on.
it was about 3 hit points.
Right, I'm going to roll the medicine check to see if Ruby thinks that's absolute.
Go on, you can roll. How
Like,
many-
okay, yeah,
You've lost
fine.
4, yeah? You've lost 4. So you lost 4, Sapphire.
Ah, yes,
I
guidance.
think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me go back on roll 20 and double check.
Go, you do your roll.
You did.
Ruby.
You had about 3. Like, I'm literally looking at it now. You had 3 hit points lost. I had 10 hit points lost.
There we go.
And Zandri doesn't have hers up.
What
but
did you get?
she didn't
What did you get, Ruby?
I rolled a 17, including.
So having a look at Sapphire, bar a bit of red in his fur on his cheek where he's probably took a bit of a scratch, you do remember that he did turn into the giant blonde bear during the fight.
Yeah.
So if any damage you did see him take, the bear probably absorbed. So
And can I see off a 17 if I cast my eye over Zandria and Pyro?
Pyro doesn't
reassure
show
myself.
wounds at all. like even if Pyro was on his last legs, you wouldn't know.
Okay.
He's just
He's just
static,
stoic
as
like
he just
that.
is. And Xandria looks again.
I can see that she's fine.
Fragility, which is a real word, and iron strength, all in one.
So, make the unconscious people as comfortable as possible. Fantasy recovery position.
Which is the same. Just
It's
kids, just so
exactly
you
the
know,
same.
it's the same. Don't be making shit up in first aid just because you're dressed up, all right, man. Just look, bring an ambulance, all right? Just bring an ambulance. As you
I
are,
make them comfortable enough to sleep it off, and sit.
cool.
vibing.
As you are doing said things, you can see Ari and Kesvion coming up the other side of the claw mark in the ground, and they're at the other side of the bridge now.
Wave at them.
Like Harry's.
Should we come across and meet you, or
Oh,
We'll hop back across. Looks like you've got those guys settled.
So you're just coming back over the bridge, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. No voice, no growl, no nothing. You're all back together?
Yep.
It's late afternoon. Your guides are unconscious but comfortable. You are aware that they've got a good hour and a half, 2 hours left before they naturally come round. Unless you're doing anything, we shall skip forwards an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Lunch. That's it.
You have a late
Whittling.
lunch. You have a late lunch, bit of whittling, and it's late afternoon into early evening now. The sun is setting. So if it's setting over there, so you can still see the Ivory Wall. It's not blocking much of the light, so you see it as a natural sunset. It eventually will drop, and the forest will block it from wherever it drops. So you've got that like twilight moment where it is dark but still pretty visible. And
Ruby will sort of start thinking about making a fire. Do you want a roll for that?
no, you are a druid of the Caledonian lands. You can make a fire.
Because last time I tried to make a fire, I failed spectacularly, but in fairness, it was raining like a tap had been switched on
And
above
that's
me.
the only reason you had to roll. General rule of thumb is you're good at your skills. So, as you're setting up camp, are you just camping on the other side of the bridge? Are you moving into the tree line? What? The shadowy thing is still under the bridge.
Well, I'm not going to make a fire under the tree
It's
line.
more of a group question. Where would you like
I
your
would
camp?
feel more comfortable with us moving out of the immediate blast radius of whatever. Yeah,
oh,
not a fan
shadow.
of it. I don't like it. I don't want to make
I
pals
feel like
with it.
when they would have kind of moved down towards like the end bit of it, they would have probably looked kind of for other spots where they could have
You
slept down.
easily would have, between yourselves, spotted areas that are suitable to camping.
Yeah, so like out of the immediate shadowy
Death ray,
bridge time.
if that's what you want to call them.
Because I think as well, like they'll probably end up like heading around anyway. They'll probably
Yeah.
go over the bridge, so they'll probably
camp
head
under
round
the bridge is
anyway.
what I'm hearing.
And you can do that. And
we
then
will
you
be
can come
needing
back
roll
with your new
20.
character next week. Yeah.
Harry's still piss wet through from falling in last week. Thank
That's
you.
true. So, you make your way down towards the end of the claw mark. You find a bit just off the way with the trees around you to give you a bit of shelter. You have noticed, or more just dawned on you, it's not rained that much in the last day or two. You set up camp. Florin and Haria do start to come round very groggily. They sit, they get themselves a little bit comfortable. Florin is gripping her walking stick and is kind of against a tree. She's not shaking, but the experience was not one she enjoyed. Haria's still got his bit of a permanent smile on his face, and he's a bit more confident in his sitting position, but you can see in his face he's still a bit pale and a little bit large egg on his head, but he's a little bit fake confident as he sits and just stares out at you all, making your little fires and sorting out bedrolls and stuff.
And when the fire's lit, Ruby's not fussing over them. She doesn't want to be that mum friend who's like all over them, but she's
But she is.
in a restrained way. Minor fussing over them.
Neither of them have said anything since becoming conscious. They've just taken their positions.
Ariel kind of settle down by the fire, so next to them, and just be like, so what happened?
Haria looks at you, and he smiles there, and he's trying to think of the words. Florin's just staring out at the forest ahead of you, and she just goes, despair. We were wrapped in despair. Cloaked, hooded, blind. There's no place for humans anymore. The wall's gonna fall. She's just staring out.
Ruby had been reaching for her tea kit, but instead produced a small flask from inside pockets somewhere.
Maybe something stronger.
Yeah.
Put the tablets back.
Uncaps it and hands it fast to Florin with an indication to pass it on to.
She takes the smallest of sips before passing it on.
This is Druid moonshine. Before she.
It's probably why she only just smelled it as soon as she took the cap off.
She's
pretty
a
much. You could all
hunter
smell
of
it as soon as
demons.
the cat came. This is stuff that like Ruby's uncle makes in the barn. This isn't liquor you can buy from a vendor.
She takes a very, very small sip, and there is a physical reaction, but it's held. She passes it to Haria, who takes a larger sip, and there is a very, very physical reaction. She's like, yeah, oh, that's good, and he passes it back to you, Ruby. Moonshine.
Ruby offers it,
Try some of that.
hands it to Ari.
Ari takes a swig. A big gulp, or?
It kind of saw the reaction and went, probably not going to taste that good, so probably just takes a little sip.
Tastes great after the burning.
It's got a very absinthe heat to it, and you feel your chest. You feel if you had a swig of this, you could probably run around Viconia for a bit and not feel the cold.
Definitely takes the chill off.
Right, that no problem.
More restrained with his physical reaction.
Anyone else? Ruby offers the flask to the others.
Sandria fireballs it.
Yeah, probably.
Which at that amount of alcohol.
I can imagine that Moonshine has. They're not unfamiliar with stuff brewed on the go.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably like a passing.
Sandria will probably take a swig and not bat an eyelid.
Yeah.
Whilst internally cursing the very season of summer.
Oh yeah. But given her constitution roll, is she gonna sit there straight face going, I'm fine?
I'll tell you.
Oh no.
Aria's a
Jade has
wimp,
confirmed
and
that Xander
fine.
did not get hit at all last time.
So Xandria takes a decent swig in her lovely state. Oh, we're going with the green. That's an out 20 for Xandria.
I thought so. As soon as
That's a
you
19.
Yeah, that's a 6. They one of her eyebrows raises, which I can't do. She just nods in acknowledgement that it is of potency. But do you know who she is?
Yeah.
Anyone for any more?
We'll have a try. Do you want me to also roll, or am I okay?
I didn't have to roll.
Xandria rolled for reasons.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
Xandria's a wet paper bag. Love
Oh
you, sister.
shit! It's not an out 20. Because of reasons, it's a disadvantage. But it is an 18, so.
Oh.
You're lucky I didn't have them in combat.
Well, if he passes it on to Sapphire, well, if there's anything that we also need cleaned, or if
Paint
all
needs
else
removing.
fails, we could always throw it over the wall.
Throw that over the wall. I can't get any more till I go home.
But it'll definitely take out whatever's over there.
Does
I
it
can't open
light on
it.
fire well?
Kess is just gonna look
You can
at
light
Sapphire
fires
and be
with
like,
it, yeah.
you cannot smell the fumes off of that.
Well, what I'm thinking is if we're throwing it over the wall, we might as well light a thing in it first, right?
I'm
I
surprised
mean, you know,
we
he's
haven't
got
all
a cat's
gone up
sense of
here.
smell, right? You say he can't smell it. He lost his sense of smell as soon as I took the lid off because he's got a sensitive sense of smell.
Just walking around with his paws
He's
over his
drunk from the
nose.
fumes.
So while you're all getting pissed,
Yeah.
Warming.
what's your plan for? What's your plan? You've got the evening. Florian and Harriet are awake. You're setting up for camp for the night. Is there anything you need to do, say, etc.?
Kind of is gonna look across them again, just be like, I understand why, like, kind of what happened to you, but also, like, I'm a little bit confused. We obviously went to the bridge to try and cross the bridge, and there was a spider thing on it, and there's some shadows a lot around it, and obviously the shadows have kind of got you.
That wasn't there yesterday, says Harriet.
What, the spider thing?
None of it.
Shadows.
None of it. The weird thing underneath, the horrific thing on 8 legs. None of it.
But the bridge was there.
Yeah, the bridge is there. Yeah, it's been there. We built it. Well, I didn't build it, but
Yeah,
some of the labourers built it.
our people built it.
Our people.
Yeah, that's weird that it's just doing so quickly.
What, the bridge?
Whatever's under it.
Oh, the creature. Well, did I tell you? Yeah, I did tell you. There's been attacks on this side of the wall for ages now.
You said there'd been attacks, but I've never seen this kind of creature before.
It's different. It's different, my lord. It's different.
I'm just Harry.
Not according to Florent.
You're not alone. I'm just Harry. Sorry.
Just Harry.
Well, just Harry.
Harry. I mean, he was going to pull out his hip flask, but then I thought better of it because he's got his name engraved.
First Eagle, Lord Harry Rycroft.
He's just got his surname engraved in it, but you know, still. But yeah, he'll just kind of be like, so they really come in that quickly? And
Why do you think our lot are on this side? Bear in mind, you know his House Padura. They don't. They're the elite ranger types that go out on the other side of the wall.
yeah,
I say elite. You know, they're not level 10 adventurers, but you know they're good at what they do.
yeah, I did think it was a bit strange. It makes
What
Um,
do you call larger creatures?
They're bigger.
Is that Huria?
Yeah.
The look
Florin
the
doesn't
look
join
that
in
he
the
is
conversation.
levelled with implies I should have left you in the cocoon, but the words do not leave.
Sapphire is stood behind Kespion, like silently laughing, trying to hold it in as best he can.
Give me an intimidation check with disadvantage because of your not laughing friend. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So that is at disadvantage. That is a 16.
16. Yeah. Okay. What do you mean? Give me more. Sorry for the funny. I'm a bit nervous.
He'll kind of gesture towards the big sort of gash out the ground, as in that's a claw mark, big.
What, the stream?
That's not, well, it's stream now.
It's not stream.
But, yeah.
Oh, that's nothing that big. That's massive.
Can you imagine?
I'd rather not.
Ruby's clearly she's got this daydream. Like there's this like haggard look in her eyes as she imagines.
Imagine the size. Some might say it's gargantuan.
Sapphire also has a similar look in his eyes, but there's like a more malicious grin on his face.
Oh, I could go kill one.
Big monster!
Or possibly a better way of phrasing it. Has anyone reported hearing deep, almost like lizard-like growls, rumbling?
Not that I know of, but the excavation was overseen by the House of the Rajator, the wizards. They're the ones that have been overseeing it. I'm just out here hunting minor fiends with Florin.
They were overseeing excavations.
Well, it's history and stuff, isn't it? They like that sort of thing.
Very true. Yeah, thank you for that. Hopefully we can just get some rest.
No worries. Thanks to you lot for not letting us die. We
Go
were,
around letting people die,
Cass and
don't be
Ruby,
silly.
Cass and Ruby is like, we were fighting a spider.
thanks to all of you. Like, if you hadn't killed the spider, they wouldn't have been able to help us, and if you wouldn't have helped us, and the spider died. And just thanks to all of you. Florin just sort of looks across, nods at you all, and then stares back out into the night. Well, Kip would be nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Keep a tight watch tonight and
Who wants
try and
first
make
shift?
up.
I'll go first.
Kes will look noticeably surprised that Sapphire is offering to take a shift to watch for a change.
For some reason, so is Aurea. Do you mind if we just sleep through? I mean, there's 5
No,
here.
go.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, and he goes over
Guide
to
in the
Florin.
morning.
Goes over to Florin, and he starts helping her set up their little camp. So you do
Are you
have.
okay
Go
on
on.
your own, Saf, or
Yeah, I'll be fine.
we'll bundle down for rest? I'll take second.
I'll take third.
Like, whatever, whichever one everyone else doesn't want, I don't mind.
So Andrea nods, and gets a red down.
She's like, yeah.
So you pass the next hour or so away, having some food. Notice that Florin and Huria are out. The night comes totally across the camp now, and it is dark with the odd speckle of starlight. The moon is half, maybe, so there is an element of light shining through. It's quite open in front of you because of the excavation site, and you kind of just tucked yourselves under the trees, so it's not pitch black, it's just dark. You all decide that it's time to knuckle down and get your rest where you can before trekking onto the wall. There's a last moment to you all as you see that the easternly skyline is dominated by this wall stretching south to north. of some sort of dulled ivory stone. And you all get your head down, except Sapphire, who will be taking first watch. Are you doing anything on your watch, or are you just watching?
No, he'll probably meditate after his watch, but he wants to stay alert and aware for his watch at least.
Okay.
Especially after seeing that fucking spider creature yesterday.
Give me a perception check.
Perception's good. That is not great. That is an 8.
An 8. Give me
Yeah.
a will save. Wisdom save.
That is a 14.
Sapphire
my
wanders
concerned
into the
face.
woods and is never seen again.
Sapphire, your keen eyes, one's going one way, one's going the other way. You're looking around, and you're doing this with your finger. You know what I mean? Just pissing about. And then, for some reason, you look towards the bridge, and in the distance, you can see that the clash of shadow darkness and the night darkness. There's an obvious, almost opaque silhouette, but moving in. It's so dark is the shadowy bit that it stands out in the night. If that makes sense. And you look across to it, and you hear a very, very familiar voice, softer than you normally hear it. Sapphire, I've been looking for you. And the first 2 words that enter your mind are Soul Taker. Towards the bridge. Very clear, very true. It is her on a 14.
So Sapphire stands up, and he's not completely stupid, but he also doesn't know exactly what Soul Taker has gotten herself into recently, so he kind of steps away from the camp a little bit. And
You are currently
Like a s-
charmed by this voice, just so you know.
oh, that's fun. Okay, yeah, I'll start heading towards the bridge, but slowly.
Quietly, Sapphire. I need you, brother.
What are you doing under the bridge? You keep walking.
Hiding. There are eyes everywhere. Assassins in the night. Come, brother, sit with me, hide with me. I need your help.
He pauses and kind of looks back towards the camp.
Don't call them, don't wake them, they need to sleep.
Yeah.
It's always me and you, brother. Always. But then you left. So many souls. So many.
You'll start walking back towards the bridge again.
As you get right up to the bridge, you are very aware that there is... You can't tell if it's mist or shadow that's swirling around your feet. It's as if you've walked into some sort of swampy area, and you hear the splish splash as your large paws dip into the water, and you crouch down under the bridge, and you see, deep in the shadows, the golden eyes of your sister. And then you think, you can't remember if they were golden, but it is your sister. Sit, and you just see a paw pat through the misty smoke next to her. You can see your sister there, or can you? She's in shadow, but it does sound like her.
Well, I guess if I'm charmed, I don't really have much of a choice. He'll go over and sit down next to her.
Cool.
He's slowly, tentatively, but he will, yeah.
She just stares at you for a while. It's very surreal, it's like she's hiding in plain sight. Like, you know she's there, but you can't see her features properly. But you know she's sat in front of you. It's been a long time, brother.
It has been a long time, and you've been collecting, I see. Or I have seen. Why are you so dark right now?
Just one more. Can you give me a dexterity save, please? As she lunges forward, her claws out.
16.
Oh, 16. Her claws go deep into your chest, but they are icy cold, and you can feel her fingers inside your chest reaching around. The form of your sister fades away, and there is just a shape of humanoidness, and you can hear that as it's breathing in from your. You feel your mouth open, and you feel your very chi being pulled from your essence. Can you give me a Constitution saving throw, please?
16 again.
Remember when we used to have a monk?
You push against this shadowy thing, and you feel solidness as you push yourself back, and you instantly close your mouth and back up out of there. But as you close your mouth, you see a small wispy orb of blue energy disappear into the silhouette. Until I tell you otherwise, you are permanently 1 key point down.
Okie dokie. Mark that on the thing.
There is a mocking laughing from the shadow, and you see this form moving about under the bridge a bit more quicker now, darting around. You shake it off. The attack on you has broken the charm. You've resisted the attack and pushed yourself away. You are about 10-15 feet away, backing out from under the bridge. Come, lion. Sit with your sister.
He throws a dart at its face.
Give me
walking away.
an attack roll.
What is my attack roll?
Proficiency dex, I assume.
Yep, that's
Plus 50.
It's not that great. There's my dart. 7. So that's only a 15.
Yep.
That hits.
You, as you're pointing out, your dart goes flying out. Tickles.
Fuck you, he says, very out of character. He just walks back towards the camp, like rubbing at his chest where the claws had dug in.
Soon, lion. Soon. And the shadows settle beneath the bridge. You got a bit of a dry cough going on, but you make it back to camp.
Awesome. Okay, so 1 kite break
Awesome.
down.
Monks
Love
don't
that
need
for
key
me.
points.
Son of a bitch. He's just he like, who was next in watch?
Caspian.
So he's going to basically sit there cursing under his breath for a while, and when it's kind of Caspion's turn, he'll wake Caspian up. Just so you're aware, the thing under the bridge is very convincing. I probably could have died last night. Well, tonight.
What? Okay.
It made itself look like my sister. It spoke with my sister's voice, and I felt very compelled to go hang out with it. I'm pretty sure it tried to eat my soul. He says it's completely flat, like lack of emotion, just completely matter of fact.
So on your watch, you wandered away from camp, climbed under the bridge that we know is... And... Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
Maybe
feel
you
like
should
I had
rest.
I didn't feel like I had a choice. Like when it started speaking, it kind of caught. I don't know what it was. But yeah.
Maybe we should do watches in pairs from now on.
Oh, you're asleep. You don't do shit.
And he'll go. Yeah. So just. Yeah. Be careful. I don't know if it will have the same kind of effect on you, because I felt It felt similar to how some of the Fae spoke. So. Like that kind of charming influence, and he's just like rubbing at the wounds on his chest.
Rest. Do you need us to wake Ari or Ruby to try and get that healed, or?
Oh, we'll see how it is in the morning, and if I still need it, then I'll ask him. Don't disturb him now. It's my own foolishness.
Rest up. I'm gonna try and not do that on my watch.
So Sapphire settles begrudgingly. And Kess, you are taken into the deeper night for your second watch of your party. Are you doing anything, or are you just doing your watch?
Just, like, now that he knows that there is even bigger shenanigans afoot than he originally thought, then he will definitely just be, like, making sure that nothing comes basically any closer, as opposed to watching under the bridge specifically, just making sure that nothing approaches, like, the camp, if that makes sense. And kind of keeping an eye out as to, obviously, because they're backing onto the woods as well, that nothing kind of comes out from there.
Cool. Perception check.
Yeah. Boop-a-de-boop, boop, boop. That is a 19.
You don't see anything throughout your couple of hours. Like, you're keen on it now after Sapphire's words. You are hypersensitive. But two things assail your senses. One is the creaking of a wooden door opening, and when you look, there's nothing. Could be the snapping of twigs or a large creature just, bumbling around, but it has that squeaky wood sound.
Yeah.
And a very strong smell of sea salty air. Lasts almost 20 seconds after the sound of the creaking door, or wood, or twisted wood, or whatever. And fades. And then nothing for the next hour.
Is it almost kind of reminiscent of when they were on the boats traveling, like, round the coast, or is it very, like, almost like
It's familiar.
separate?
It's familiar. It's got a warmth to the salty air. Give me another perception check to see if you can recognise from where.
That is a 16.
It reminds you of home. So somewhere along the coasts of Surut, but you can't quite pinpoint it. Yeah.
Right to go. Cool. I'll get to the end of my watch, and then it was Ari next. We'll kind of give Ari a shake.
Cool.
Right. Update. So, pretty sure I heard your weird creaking door thing in the woods. Also, what smelled like the sea off the coast of Surut, but I think that's probably just how long we've been up. Also, Sapphire decided that he was going to go party with the thing under the bridge, and stabbed him in the chest.
Best sentence ever.
Oh.
Yeah, so don't go under there. Apparently, it has.
Turn that down.
Apparently, it can convince you to do things. It's not dissimilar to
The music.
how some of the Fae can bend and tweak your will. So
It's
just
so well with the Fae.
just be careful.
Well.
And then he will curl down for the rest of his sleep.
It's now
Hopefully Ari will still be there in the morning.
it's now early hours. Before we carry on, I'll call a break now, because depending on Ari's rolls, it could take more than 5 minutes. So we're gonna have a quick break. We usually take about 10-15 minutes. So those of you that are watching, stick around, go get yourselves a drink and such, and then come back and join us for part 2 of session 35. So see you in a bit. Boom, we're back. Or we should be back. Hello, people of the internet. Right, let's crack on with part 2. Let me get my music. Right. Is that working? Yeah, there we go. Hurry! Just before the break, this lot are having a bit of a sleepy time, so they've done the watches. Sapphire tried to kill himself. Kesfion's reminiscing about the sea, and it is now Ari's turn for watch. In the woods, just away from the claw mark in the ground, and the Ivory Wall a day away. So you...
He dies in the shadow of the wall. You're like, no.
Poetry. So are you doing anything during your couple of hours, Ari, or are you just watching?
He is very carefully, like, watching and making sure that nothing is going to tempt him over towards the bridge or towards a stupid door or away from the camp. He's like, I'm here to guard these people. Let's guard. I'm so close.
Yeah. Okay. So, on your watch, looking out, keeping an eye on the shadowy place under the bridge, keeping an eye on where the weird image of the door was in the trees, back to the shadowy place, back to the door, back to the moon, to the door, to the shadowy place. Give me a perception check.
Oh, jeez, right. What dice am I choosing? That's
A
the
D20.
question, right.
You need a D20, Harry.
We're gonna have a sparkly boy. Please roll nice. Not bad. 17 again. I rolled an 11 again.
Cool. The shadowy place beneath the bridge. I mean, you are well into night now. It is pitch black. Bar some... The half moon above you doesn't seem to be as strong in its shine. But there is a very, very, very low light about the place. And you can see the thick blackness of the shadow beneath the bridge. It stands out as if it was daylight. But other than reaching out in an awkward sort of stretch, it doesn't seem to do anything. There are no voices calling you. And then you look towards where the door was. And there it is. There is a door with a torch hanging, a torch lit, and a lantern hanging from it. You know what I mean? A stem with a hanging lantern outside this door. And it is beyond the tree line into the woods. You think you can see the rest of the building, but you can definitely see what is a door beyond a couple of the things. What did you get, a 17?
Yeah.
Etched on the door in a language you do not recognise, but you know what it says. Whilst you're holding, again reflexively, you don't even remember doing it and your subconscious took over, you're holding your rapier. You read the words, "The Timeless Vagabond." And my Zoom just froze. Okay.
Oh, so want to go there, but no. Character Mel. God damn it. Yeah, I was just kind of gonna keep looking back at it and be kind of probably more distracted by that than you should be compared to the shadowy place that's doesn't seem to be doing much. You keep kind of looking back towards it and stuff like.
With your hand on the hilt of your rapier, it remains in sight.
He knows he's got to look after these people until they wake up at least, but he's got to kind of keep an eye out and see exactly where it is and maybe have a check out in the morning when everyone else is awake.
Do you keep hold of your sword?
He's got his hand on the hilt at least.
Okay. As soon as your it remains throughout your entire watch, just there, hanging torch. Doesn't open, doesn't close. And you've got about half an hour before you wake Ruby.
I feel like he's not He's not stupid. Which I keep forgetting about Harry. He's not stupid. He's just a special kind of he sees the words. He sees that it's basically, he's got his hand on his rapier and it's just like, I feel like he would draw the rapier.
As you draw the rapier, all of the gemstones glow. The one with that is attuned to a specific soul shines brighter than the rest, but the stones are aglow. You hear that faint distance cry of an eagle that you're just akin to when the sword is doing its magical dance. And the door opens ajar.
Wrong jaw.
Starts
Sorry.
supping pickled onions. Beyond the door, you can see very obviously tavern life. No sound.
Oh no! Tempting with a tavern as well.
But there's definitely people beyond the door, dancing and singing and drinking, but you can't hear them. You can just see where the door is slightly opened.
If he puts his rapier back away, what happens?
I don't know, do you put it away?
Yeah, he puts it away to see.
As you put it away, the stone's dull and the door closes. Do you let go of the sword or do you just put it away?
I feel like he'd check and like let go of the sword and see what happens.
As you let go of the sword, there is no door.
Huh. Harry suddenly realises what is happening. That Mel realised 10 minutes ago. Yeah. It's kind of like interesting. I guess I'll wait. He waits.
The next 20 minutes pass. No return of the door. And time to wait, Ruby.
Yep, he'll wake Ruby up and be like, okay, there's been some weird stuff going on. Sapphire got, like, taken by the shadows under the bridge. They basically stabbed him or something.
Ruby goes from
No,
half
he's
asleep
fine.
to
He's fine.
wide
He's
awake.
fine. He's fine.
Like head snaps around to look where
Nature spirit, nature spirit!
He's fine. And then there's a weird door over there, but doesn't seem to be doing much, so it's fine. Just if that like bridge tries to talk to you, don't let it. Just stay here.
So we've had 3 watches.
Yeah.
One of us nearly died, I assume, if he went under the bridge with the shadows. We've had a mystical door appear out of nowhere, and nobody thought to wake anyone else up until their shift was over.
Adventurers,
Yeah.
Ruby, adventurers.
Look, the door's only there if I touch the sword. It's probably Tails being a dick.
Go to sleep, Ari.
I will.
As Harry goes to sleep, and Ruby, you take your watch, you'll be bringing in the dawn on your watch. Are you just watching, or are you doing things?
Watching.
Is that the right one?
Yes.
Yes. Ruby, for now, will just watch, mainly to make sure that none of these idiots get up and start doing mad shit in their sleep.
Oi, that's... I've had a perfectly normal watch, thank you very much.
Can you give me
Alright,
a
yes,
perception
sorry,
check,
Caspia.
Ruby?
What, sorry, which check?
Perception.
It's a D20, that'll do. What is my modifier? I can never remember. That is 16.
16. You
Yeah.
see the shadow. It does look as though it is retreating from the coming dawn. Clearly it was a bit more potent during the nighttime hours, but it seems to be retreating away. There's no voices reaching out to you or anything. You look across to the area that Harry pointed out. There's some weird ass, turns out fictional door, because you can see nothing beyond. I mean, you're pretty good at spotting stuff in the woods. There's no door. Like, clearly he's been on the old hip flask during his watch, you know what I mean? And you look around, it's serene. The air about you has got a very, very small trace of malice about it, which you put towards the shadow coming from the bridge. It's just kind of radiating it, but not enough that it's going to scare you. And as the dawn comes, nothing out of the ordinary happens. You're hyper aware after the brilliant wake up call from Harry. We all nearly died. I'm off to sleep now.
Give
yeah.
the shadow a couple of hard glares, like, yeah, you better be retreating from the dawn, because I will come over there.
Yeah. You see a monk dart just stuck in the stone. Yeah, you seem to be standing a bit more on guard than you first thought. And as you look around, you see your lot behind you, and then everything else in front of you. It's probably time to start waking them up.
I debate jabbing people with the end of a stick, but Xandria at least will probably just stab me, so I start building the fire up, making tea, on the assumption that the clattering and the smell will wake people up without me having to actually intervene.
You do indeed all wake up.
Yep.
So the clattering of Ruby and her breakfast time.
No one else had their soul attacked last night, I take it?
It is noisy this morning with forest life.
Unusually so for the time of year.
Yep.
Can
More around
I-
Ruby's area. Like, when you guys look to see where the noise is coming from, you don't necessarily see the creatures, but there seems to be a ambient audio coming from around Ruby.
I'm gonna have a glance over just to make sure that the shadow isn't up to further shenanigans from where we're kind of standing.
So does it sound louder to me as well? Like, oh gosh,
It
the
sound-
dawn chorus is
It
loud.
sounds louder to them. It sounds familiar to you.
Oh, okay. In that same kind of vague way you were saying that I can't really put my finger on, or am I?
No, it's just it's been a while since it's been this busy about you. You're used to creatures being busy around you, so even though it is loud, you just acknowledge it as it's been a while. Whereas this lot can clearly hear, you know, creatures really close to
Yeah.
them.
Ari will totally, when he gets up, put his hand back on the sword and roll the sword and see what happens.
Absolutely nothing.
God damn it!
The stones don't glow, the door does not return. You had your
Harry?
chance.
It was weird. I think Tails came to visit me last night. I didn't leave, so.
Oh,
I mean, whether it was actually Tails or not is another question.
okay.
Like, you know how I saw a door earlier, like, last night? It came back even more if I drew the sword, and it said, the Timeless Vagabond on the door. And definitely had a Tails energy.
Right.
You got a tavern. I got my sister trying to rip my heart out and eat my soul. That sucks.
Your sister is called Soul Taker.
Your
Well, yeah,
sister
it
is
wasn't
indeed
actually-
called
I mean,
Soul
yeah, but-
Taker.
I mean, this was just a thing pretending to be her. It wasn't her in the end, but it did drink some. I mean, I don't. It has literally stolen some of my energy. Like, I can't. It's hard to explain to people that weren't trained as monks, but like, I'm weaker today than I was yesterday. I have less of the power that I use for my mystic arts. And it's something that thing did to me.
Continue? You still?
Oh yeah, no, I can still kick ass. I'm just less as effective, I suppose.
Taking that in, look, what role would it be to try to work out if that's demonic or vampiric or...
What? From Sapphire's descriptions?
Yeah.
Give me...
No.
Give me a Arcana roll.
Oh, well, it's a straight D20 in it. Yes. I cast Guidance. You're going to be hearing that a lot now I've remembered I've got it. The rest of you will get it as well, don't worry. And I just rolled a 24.
You...
Literally a 20 and a 4.
From the description of what Sapphire's given you, the only two things that come across your mind that can tear a soul from somebody, at least that aggressively, is fiendish or necromantic. But not being clued up on fiends and such, you wouldn't be able to name a particular fiend. But you are aware that they can do it.
Alright, so to get rid of whatever's under the bridge, then we want to find someone who can either deal with fiends or necromancy.
Sapphire's that spinning his noggin out.
Right.
Ah, fiends are my specialty.
Are they?
I mean, I've not encountered one like that before. Normally they're a lot... I mean, the ones I've faced, at least, are a lot less sneaky. They're a lot more bitey and in your face.
But from what these guys are saying, that's the new MO around here.
Yeah, they there's way more than we thought. We just thought they were like foot troopers or fodder. They were just demons with claws and teeth charging the wall, and we binned them off. But now they've got, well, similar to us. They've got, like, they're good at certain stuff. They've got demons that can fly, that can dig, that use magics to just appear on the wall. There's some that track us through the woods. We end up playing cat and mouse for hours, days sometimes. There's an whole... They're just almost like people. All good at different stuff.
Either way, we need to get moving.
Yeah, we'd like to try and avoid going near that.
Quick out of character question, does that count as a long rest?
Yes, you've all had a long rest.
Right.
You still don't get your key back, Sapphire.
Yep, let me put my key back up to 1 less than it should be. 5 out of 6. Well, 5 out of 5, I suppose, technically.
Right. Before we move on, Kess, you had some questions that they couldn't answer about people having heard that growling sound.
Yeah.
We know will have heard it, if it's been happening, is the trees. Shall I ask around?
I don't see why not.
Lots of trees. Okay.
I am going to cast Speak with Plants.
Of course you are, fucking druid.
Casting time 1 action, ranged self, duration 10 minutes.
So,
Ooh.
the trees around you are of the old forest, or current,
Good.
and the new trees. So which do you aim your conversation at?
Right, so I imbue the plants within 30 feet of me.
Oh shit.
So
Half and half?
So the
Brilliant.
answer to your question is yes.
The tree.
Yeah, I would like to try and get an area where I can get some of the younger and some of the older trees.
Okay, that's doable. Yeah.
Limited sentience and animation, giving them the ability to communicate with you and follow simple commands. I probably won't be bossing people around. You can question plants about events in the spells area within the past day. gaining information about the creatures that have passed, weather and other circumstances. You can also turn difficult terrain caused by plant growth into ordinary terrain, blah blah blah, or vice versa. Plants might be able to perform other tasks on your behalf at the DM's discretion. The spell doesn't enable plants to uproot themselves, but they can freely move branches, tendrils, and stalks.
Shit. Goddamn roleplay spells. Okay, so as you move to an area where you think, you'll have a bit of an audience, the rest of you kind of watch as Ruby goes about sort of just stroking the bark or almost tidying up the leaves, and it's akin to when a child arranges their teddies to play teacher. And you kind of look with a bit of a cocked head, and then she starts whispering in Sylvan. Even though you understand the language, you don't understand the words she's using. Similar to when a wizard, they might be casting fireball, but they don't say the word fireball. So you see she casts her spell, she draws on her druidic magic, and almost when a bubble bursts and you get that real wet sprinkle of rainbow colour as the light hits it, and it just sort of skitters and scatters around the area like a very, very mild fairy fire on the 30 foot around her on the greenery. You lot don't notice it as much as Ruby does, but Ruby, you feel, hear, smell, see the greenery around you just sort of pay you attention. Like, it's a very weird thing to describe, even for yourself, but you are aware that all around you, the life is, plant life is paying you attention, lending you their ear.
So Ruby, being Ruby, starts with a very polite, good morning, I'm so sorry to bother you all. I was wondering, have you heard any strange noises lately, other than us?
Other than us, all the trees are like, Give me a moment, as I need some law. There you go. I needed to confirm. Cool. As you do your little polite bit and ask, a couple of the younger trees sort of, again, it's that they don't do it in the literal sense, but you can see or feel that they are communicating with one another, and you hear whisperings and the odd word of, I don't know, do you know, maybe in this day, what sort of ways, and they're sort of conversing between themselves. One of the older trees, there's a creaking noise as it kind of twists towards you, its bark, everything. You lot swear blind, you see a root shift in the soil. Natasha.
Is that a noise that's been made, or is that someone you know?
Her home. And then the younger trees all start repeating Natasha's name, but very, very whispered.
And if I might ask as well, yesterday my friends said they heard a very loud, very low rumbling. Did you hear anything towards Sunday? Before Sunday, but closer to Sunday.
Warning. You're in her home.
Does she not want us in her home? Because we don't want to trespass, we're only trying to go to our friend's home.
She protects home of ravens.
My friend is coming home to roost with the ravens, so hopefully we won't anger her too greatly.
Natasha not angry at eagle. Only fiend.
That would make sense. Have you seen anything of the fiend under the bridge? It came for one of us last night.
The younger trees are like scared children. Yeah, I mean, they're not saplings. They're, decently grown trees that's been 10 years in the making, but they still have an element of
juvenile.
Yeah. Whereas this older tree, sort of, the branches straighten a bit, or they feel as if it's as close as a tree could to putting its chest out. Corruption, fiend, coward.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ruby actually gives a little bow to the tree because she can sense age and when she's supposed to be respectful.
You feel a soft leaf just touch your cheek as you bow.
I'm not sure I can actually switch this off, so we might want to leave the area to give the trees their peace. But yes, I thank them for their time, wish them well.
All the juvenile trees are just sort of reaching out as you push through. The branches are touching you.
And Ruby's sort of like reaching out, like
high-fiving them all as you go past.
sort of like, yeah, when you see someone walk through, a celebrity walk through a crowd of fans, and they're just sort of like.
Ruby starts signing the trees with a with a quill.
They're just sort of, when everyone's just trying to like grab their hands, so they just sort of like reach out and brush their hands over as many of them as possible. So she's just sort of like running her hands through the leaves and twigs as she passes.
And you're all back together.
And leads them out of the 30-foot zone.
Yeah, I presume we've been like packing up camp, etc., while she's been communing with nature.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Alright, so the noise you heard was somebody called Natasha. This is her home. She guards the ravens. She's alright for us to be here. We're not seen as trespassing. I don't know if that's because Ari's all here or because we're, I'll say, benevolent in the balance of things, but she's not happy about the fiend under the bridge, which is a fiend and a coward.
Harry, history check. As Aria sits up straight at the mention of all the words that Ruby's just shared and looks straight at you.
Hey, I rolled pretty good. That is a dirty 20.
20? Well played. As Ruby says, Natasha, the warden, guard, etc. of the ravens, the first thought in your mind is, holy shit, the wall. And you start to think back of the stories and myths, all the fire like stood on the wall around the braziers or back in the
gravy time.
Natasha is the name of the dragon whose soul was used to create the unbreakable wall.
That's going to be so bad.
Maybe not the fiend under the bridge then, more just sort of a greater fiend that is a coward. Although possibly the one under the bridge that would get on my nerves.
You lot notice that Haria is sort of like mouthing words but not making any noise as he's looking at Harry. Like, bah, 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 bah.
I'm just like looking on like. Ooh.
I mean, Ruby's very much the same. It's like she has this information, she's relayed this, she understands what the words mean individually, but string them all together and she's got, this is somebody's home.
Florin is quite perked up at this information.
And for those who are not
It's gravy time.
local, that
Um,
means
Basically, from what I remember of lessons when I was a kid, Natasha was essentially the dragon whose soul was used to create the wall.
Florin sat there with a big smile on her face, and her ear is like, but it's just a story, it's myth, it's just a really strong wall.
Mate, do you want to go over the other side of that bridge and hear a big growl like the dragon's going to get you? Because
I'm fine.
that's what we
I'm
had
fine.
last
I've
night.
still got some sausages to eat. I'm all right.
Because that is what we heard last night, and it sounded like a dragon. Cass had a good look at it, looked like a big claw mark
Well,
that you excavated.
There is no dragons. They're just old tales.
well, there might not be dragons, but there's something big enough to make that claw mark.
A long time ago, but she also apparently the plants know of her, so and they were talking about her as though she was still around. Well, look towards Ruby. Yeah.
It was the older tree that. It was one of the old trees that knew the name.
Well, if they've used a soul to create the wall, the soul might not be gone. Like,
I know there were a lot of magics imbued in the wall. To be honest, we'll probably know more from the scholars that are closer. But I know that there was so much magic that was used to create this wall way back when it was King Reinhardt's day. So it could well be that, apparently, Ulrich doesn't exist. But he does.
We should be so lucky.
Yep. Looks down at the rapier. No one else really knows about that one. Always fun.
he's definitely not going to exist when we're done.
At a sudden thought, Ruby starts giggling.
You're right.
I just thought, because none of us can speak Draconic, what if that rumbling we were so scared of was her saying welcome home or something?
Possibly.
Who knows?
I wasn't ready to wait around to find out. If I'm
Oh
honest.
no, absolutely. But the forest in the area says that the noise you heard, because they heard it, was Natasha, and Natasha's a good thing.
Well, it makes me a little bit more comfortable, at least, to go back to where we were and try and continue the journey. At least I don't feel like we're getting, completely. I mean, I don't know what to do about that fiend under the bridge, but
Well, if you lot aren't going to deal with it, I'll inform the rest of the house, and more Paradur will come down and get rid of it. Or at least attempt to, more than just the 7 of us.
I don't know if it'd be quite the same as the spider yesterday, but some people dealing radiant magic probably be quicker about it than we would be.
It's not really radiant magic we use against fiends, but the magic will hurt it.
I'm sure you've had dealings with similar in the past.
Aye? So what do you want to do? I mean, I'd rather not attack it with just the 7 of us, but if you do, pretty good with a boat.
and
think we've lost enough time to it already.
Yeah. I think I really want to try and get to the wall if we can. So, yeah, if we can maybe just, like, basically just not go over the bridge again and just walk round.
I thought that's what we were doing already.
Yeah, you're
I was
already.
going to say we're nearly
already
halfway
down,
round
yeah.
anyway.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you went down to the bottom end to camp. Cool. So your camp's packed away, so it's entirely up to yourselves. You set off.
Yep.
You move round. You go back up towards where the bridge is, all eyeballing the shadow beneath the bridge. Sapphire, give me a perception check. As you were all staring across at the shadow beneath the bridge, what do you see? What do you see,
15
Sapphire?
is what I got.
15? You see a very, very marble-sized blue light within the shadow. And then a moment later, the shadow completely dissipates from beneath the bridge, and you can now see the water running under it in the huge, what you've now discovered to be a claw mark in the ground, as if there was never a shadow there at all. But there is no longer your blue marble either.
Son of a bitch stole my energy. He just shouts out loud. Like,
Kind of spin around and be like, and
Yeah,
then kind of
so
look as well and
Ruby
be like,
turns like, if that's not there though, where's it gone?
I mean, it was over in the trees yesterday, so it's probably just moving about.
ah,
We will.
can it move within shady areas? Is it in shadow, maybe?
Some of the
Possibly.
most senior Paradur might know. They hunt and track the fiends, especially on this side. They've been doing it for decades on the other side.
Oh, we should just killed it. Ugh.
If it was as easy, we would have.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's this way, if you want to crack on.
Yeah.
Come on, Sapphire.
And
Sorry,
Florin does look as though the long rest, or uninterrupted long rest, has done her a world of good. She still has the look and, unfortunate bags beneath her eyes, but she's got a bit more in her step after the Natasha comments. She seems a bit more proud again, and she's still using her stick to walk, but she's now got a bit of a bounce about her and is keeping at the walking pace of her ear as them two take point and just every now and then nudge back to let you know to come this way. The closer you get to the wall, you probably get there by by late afternoon of this particular day. The terrain is well trodden, but it doesn't surprise you because whatever they've been excavating has been coming backwards and forwards down this particular track that Florin and Harira are taking you down. You're now really close to the wall. Like, if you suddenly just head east, just off the track, you'd be at it within an hour, if that. To the rest of you, Ari, this is a familiar sight, but this wall cannot be put into words of its colossusness upon this plane of existence. If there was 7 wonders of the world, this would be one of them. It will take you nearly 2 days from south to north point to ride along that wall. It is vast in its creation. It is literally the only way in to Ravenholm from the east is through this wall, or you can risk death over the mountains, but it's entirely up to you. The wall itself, now that you're this close to it, every now and then it's kind of in your periphery and you look and you can't see them, but then you're walking along and you swear you see something and you look and you can't see it. There is... Any of you speak Dwarven?
Dwarven,
Cool.
no.
There is... You recognise them anyway, Harry, but there is an abundance of Dwarven runes across this wall that when you look at it, you can't see. But when you look away, you catch them. And again, but you're all very confident that they are Dwarven in nature. From your various travels around your different nations, you understand what Dwarven runes look like. You just can't read them. The wall itself runs to the northern mountains, which is the Azurite Mountains, and there is a city of Azurite within those mountains. Some of you will have heard of the city of Azurite, and just know it is a place of dwarves. That's the only information you know. Ari, you are much more in the know that the city of Azurite is very much a strong best friends, allies, brothers in arms to the House of Eagles, not to Ravenholm, but to the House of Eagles. They actually remind you of Boulderback, Captain Boulderback, in that they are druidic in their skill set and their way of life, but more mountain druid rather than sea druid. And they do a lot of trade and you help us, we help you sort of mentality with the House of Eagles and the various houses on the wall. Because of their crafting skills, their druidic magic they can bring in. There's a more natural state to the magic used by the dwarves and some of the aid it gives to those on the wall. And demons do not like it. The demons, the devils, the fiends, whatever you want to call them, they do not like druidic magic. And yeah, so you are aware of that. And as you're walking along, you've got Florin, you've got Haria. Ari will probably be chipping in, just pointing out that mountain range you see in the far north is the Azerite. Behind you, you've just got the estuary that leads out into the sea. This is the wall, and then you hear Florin. Just a moment where the new day light just kind of hits through the trees and just puts a beam of light on the wall. You just hear Florin say, "Natasha," and she keeps walking. Haria's got this almost like every story he's ever heard is real sort of thing coming back to him, and he's like, oh, and he's retelling stories that he's heard around the braziers, around campfires, and he's almost trying to work out which ones he thinks are real, which ones are exaggerated, which ones are just absolute bullshit. But he's in a bit of a manic excitement of, he's still doing his job, keeping an eye on the road, but it's kind of a rough trail that's again just been trodden a lot, and you're parallel with the wall at the minute. You came in at its most southern point when you first hit the teleportation circle, and you're kind of walking northwards up parallel to the wall. Ari, you kind of recognise the area around now. It's more of the older stomping grounds, and you are aware that where Florin and Haria are taking you, there is a stairway, or a door/stairway type thing that is external to the big wall itself, but it takes you about a quarter of the way up, where you will reach a almost extended what do you call it? Yeah, but it's not the word I was looking for. Mezzanine, yeah. Just kind of off from the stone wall that you can then follow through into the. I mean, the wall itself is almost a vast castle, but stretched out, so it has an internal system
structure
to it.
Yeah.
So you potter along. The wall in colour, it's called the Ivory Wall because it does have the element of elephant tusk colouring, a real dark, dulled, aged ivory to it. But you can't help but throw words at it like magnificent, glorious, bright. There is a pride that literally auras the stonework not far from you. As you get past, you have lunch beneath. It's not even a shadow of the wall, just the presence of the wall. And the shadows on the other side. House of the Rising Sun. The shadows on this side. Jesus Christ. But like at everything, just be in the north. There's no shadows or sun. There's just frozen vast tundras of death. But
I mean, if we're that close to the where you could say it's midday and there was no shadow.
There's one or two. Are they real? Are they not? But yeah, you have your midday meal, and there is a calmness just in the presence of the wall. Ari, you are pretty much speechless throughout your meal. You're there. You are probably having a vast array of emotions right now, but you are not far from the stairway on this side of the wall. You pack up, you move on. Feel free to interrupt if you so wish, otherwise I'm going to carry on. You pack on, you keep moving. The hours do disappear into the afternoon, and you are looking at maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon as you are now. As you've been walking parallel, it's been slowly curving towards the Ivory Wall. When you get to the point that you remember, Ari, with a stairway, there is a massive structure of scaffolding that you can see pulls up in a makeshift elevator style thing, like a freight elevator, all made of wood and pulleys and such. leading up to the mezzanine bit where you're about to walk up to. All around it are empty wagons and carts, barrels, crates. There's like a large makeshift compound that kind of pushes away further back. You see pickaxes and shovels and the very obvious signs of probably the excavational stop-off point where they would bring it, use the elevator, take it up into the wall, etc. There's no one about. Florian kind of just gives it a once-over and then just nods towards the makeshift elevator done with the pulley system. Or is that, well, we don't have to walk up the stairs if you fancy just going straight up.
Oh, I've never been in one of these. Let's do that.
Neither have I. These are interesting.
Look at Kess. What do you mean go up? What do you mean go up? You expect me to trust some knobhead up there? It's alright, he's a big lad, he'll be fine. So you all get on the elevator, lift, pulley system. There's a small bell that Ori puts a rope across that's to keep you safe. Rings a little bit. You told me, in fact, just don't lean on the rope.
Cass has got his little risk assessment out.
So the wall itself, from where you are at the minute, you can see along it every so often towers that obviously increase its height, but where you are is not one of the towers, and it's about 120 feet easy, straight up in the air, maybe more. Bell goes, there's a bit of a jerk, and the rope and the creaking starts happening as the pulleys kick in, and the lift starts going up the wall. As you go above the tree line and you look out now across Ravenholm, you are on the most furthest eastern point of Ravenholm. Ebbendorf, where you started, is pretty much as far west as you can get, being a coastal city, and you see the vast landscape of Ravenholm. There is a very thin but very everywhere, we'll go with that description, mist on the treetops across all of it. From where you are to the next coastline is about 1,000 miles, and you can see this horizon throughout. There is a very not liked by Ruby image near the north eastern side where the House of Lilies reside, as for some reason there is no mist. It looks just a bit brighter, a bit bluer, in that particular area, as if they've enhanced the day there, whereas when you were there they flipped night and day. But this particular moment it looks as if it's really sunny and shiny over there, and the rest of Ravenholm is the misty grey, dark Germanic-esque forest landscape that you see before you. And you can see in the distance, closer than some of the spires of the old ancient architecture popping up throughout the tree lines, and you see different coloured banners closer where the provinces start, but then there's just nothing beyond your eye line. Straight in front of you, so if you had your back to the wall and looked in front of you, as you're going up and higher, you see the capital city of Grunston, which is it's where the Ivory Parliament sit. It's where the complete leadership of the House of Eagles province is governed. The city itself, you kind of take note of this. In fact, both Sapphire and Kesvion will recognise this more. Kes, you recognise it from a strategic. You work it out. You've not seen these sort of cities in the desert lands, but you work it out the way they've designed. It's very defensive, with a lot of the defensives being focused towards the wall in case of a breach, maybe. Sapphire, you are aware of the very, very high intellectual engineering of the elves in the Vey Dynasty, and the way they are able to fortify their places of populace, etc. And you see similarities in the design that you don't work it out from a strategic perspective, you work it out from a architecture perspective, and you see that they built defensively, whereas Kesvion works it out that they built defensively. But the one thing that does stick out like an absolute sore thumb is Geiselfurt, which is a fortress. No city, no town, no farm around it. It is a fortress, and it's got a bit of a horseshoe shape, in that it sits in front of the city between the wall and the city of Grunston itself. This wall is a almost mocking version of the Ivory Wall itself, in that it's this horseshoe It's a fortress. It's a massive, massive fortress, which is very much looking at the lay of the land. And if you remember when you first came in, you were at Torberg, the province of the Golden Eagle, the province of the Eagles is a valley. So the only way through this valley would be through this fortress before you hit Grunston, the city. So you'd go from Ivory Wall into Geiselfer into Grunston. If the Fiends have survived that, Ravenholm's fucked. Or they just fly over with Balos. But that is what you see. And as you peak and you come to the mezzanine and the elevator stops, the lift stops, you see a couple of just a couple of regular dressed guards. They're in kit. They're not in like super shiny golden eagle armor or anything. This group of people are just there doing the grunt work of pulling that rope when someone needs to come up, winding the winch. Harry, you recognise straight away these people. They're in the uniform. They have their golds and their whites and their silvers. Some of it's dulled over time, but they've got the standard uniform of the soldiers that stand on the wall. There is one or two that are wearing the blues or the greens of the other houses. And there's about 6 people just working this top area, moving a few sacks and barrels and stuff, and behind them is a thick door that leads into the structure of the wall itself. Haria and Florin. Florin immediately just nods at you lot and walks away, starts talking to those that have just winched you up. Haria looks at you all. Well, you're at the wall. I'm going to have to report to my superiors and let them know about what's gone on, the spider creature, the shadowy thing, and give them an heads up. Is there anything you want me to tell them, or do you need? I mean, I suppose you know where you're going, my lord.
Yeah, I know where I'm going. Thank you so much for your help and for Florin's help. I don't know if we'd have necessarily made it here in one piece without you guys, so thank you.
I think it's all the way around, and he sort of gives a bit of a nod. You're getting a look from a few of the grunts on the wall. They're very indistinguishable. They're wearing their helms, or at least you could see they rushed to put their helms on as the pulley was getting pulled, in case they didn't have a clue they were pulling up the lift. But there seems to be a bit more of they're younger than you. Like, you're confident that you're not recognised by face. But they are looking at you, and they did react to Haria calling you my lord. So it's like their unknown boss has just walked in, and they're sort of standing to attention, but they don't really know why, because they don't really know who you are. But somebody in the office called you the gaffer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they stop telling dirty jokes and such, and they just sort of stand straight. And yeah, they're not like all saluty. They're just a bit more. Yeah, we're working. We're working.
Look busy, lads. Look busy.
Look busy.
Yeah. He'll kind of like nod towards them and kind of basically make his way towards inside, essentially.
Cool. Haria gives you the nod. Go on.
Thanks. The 2 that we travelled with and the 2 that pulled the winch up and follows Ari.
Haria accepts the thanks, and he goes off to do what he said. Florin stops you as you say thanks, and there is a soft smile on her aged face. She's happy as you're saying, thanks, etc. And she turns to you and thank you for speaking for Natasha. And she just kisses your hand, and then she goes back talking to the soldiers.
Ruby laughs, repeats the phrase in Druidic she said outside the bar. For those that can't speak for themselves, and as Florin clearly thinks this conversation is over, so she follows Harry.
Yeah. Harry, you open the doors to the wall. As you enter, it is a flood of memories. There is noise. It comes rushing at you. I'm not sure I have the music for Busy Fortress Wall, but let's. Oh. No, maybe not.
Florence brave to kiss a druid's hand.
Yeah.
She's
Grubby,
a
grubby
ranger. I'm
little
sure she's
hand.
done worse.
As you, I do. As you enter, you have to let me know if that's too loud, chat. As you enter, you hear the noise of hammers hitting stone, hitting metal. There is constant work going on in the wall, as basically it's a forever being redesigned construction site. And you're looking down, like the stairs going down, the stairs going up. There's corridors leading off. There is a very mishmash of castle personality with stone walls and that very stereotypical castle layout. But at the same time, you've got the wooden scaffolding everywhere where there's not necessarily repairs, but there's work going on. But you're used to it all the time. There is the sound of water beneath somewhere, but you're used to the large wheels from the estuary and further into the mountains that funnel the water down using what the dwarves call aqueducts. And they come down, and there is a water source that goes under, through. You've never quite really figured it out or even cared to ask. But there is this. It sounds like there's a river running through the wall itself. There are people everywhere, absolutely everywhere. There are people just in civilian clothing doing work, moving sacks around, carrying food, carrying drinks, talking with each other. Where are you going, Harry? What's your plan? You've literally just stepped in. You can see the abodes of people that actually live in the wall, and you lot see these like almost human-sized hobbit holes in the walls of the wall. Like people are living like literally in the wall. It's the first time you've seen a collection of races other than human or fae. You can see gnomes, halflings. There are a couple of orcs of grey, red and green skin. You can see humans that you know, Sapphire, as Viconians. They are the human side to your... they live further north in Viconia. Ari, is new to you to see so many races. Like, if anyone in the house in Ravenholm was a purist, it's the House of Eagles. They are so proud of their lineage, so proud of what they do and what their job in the world is, that they're almost bound by that only we can do it sort of mentality and that stubbornness. But to see such an open range of races here, things are very different to when you left. You do see that they're all carrying their own, the different races are carrying their own little perks of their own cultures and where they're from, but they're all getting stuck in with clearly the dark-haired Ravenholm natives of the humans that are rocking around doing there. Every day that you'd see in a town, a city, a village, a desert camp, a Highlands clan, everyone's just getting on with their thing. Those carrying weapon, as it were, you see those clearly in the coat of arms of the House of Eagles, a great silver armoured eagle with backed by gold on uniforms and such. They've got like a bit of a silver / gold trim going on some of their tabards. There are people that you only see one of these, and Ari, this to you is the House of Fury. You know them to be the smallest of the noble houses. Sapphire, you recognise the way this very large woman walks. She is thickly muscled, not shredded, just thick, strong, powerful. Her hair is really long but tied really tight so it doesn't get in the way. She's not wearing a lot in the way of armour or protection. She's covered in scars. She has a very, very large spear, like thick halberd spear on her back. And as she's walking around, you see just on the sash that's hanging from her like thick leather belt, a blooded and scarred eagle embroidered on a broad blade of a great axe. and they've got like blood red silver trim throughout the thing. You can see it in her eyes that if you set her off, she's not going to be angry. She's going to be ragey. You see familiar-looking folk similarly dressed as Haria and Florian rocking around, which you know to be the House of Paduro, with their diving eagle chasing an arrow, greens and browns, again moving around and such. You notice now you're amongst lots of people. They don't have any silver or gold or metallic colours in their kit. There is one person who was talking to the one House of Fury. They don't have a coat of arms on them. They don't have any distinctive colours other than the very standard fashion of Ravenholm. But it's expensive. They've got the double-breasted jacket thing going on. Big silver buttons down the left side. Didn't remember left and right there. Down my left side. They are very pretty. They have very, very well applied, like silver and blue powder and shadows around the eyes. Their cheeks, they're very done up. Their hair is very slick, clean, jet black, and just brushed back. They look immaculate, but it's been applied to them. It's not magic. It's skill with brush and powder. But there's no obvious sign on them. Ari, you're pretty sure they're the House of Rouge, which you know to be the ones that know stuff. There's a small huddle that are looking at. There's a particular group of humans with 2 dwarfs and a halfling up this scaffolding, and this group that are up there, they're just in scruffs basically, as they're lifting heavy planks of wood to each other, and they're sort of making they're trying to make a curved wooden ceiling in this area of the wall, almost like an amphitheatre styled thing where it's aimed at you lot. And there's a small group of men and women that have got on their sashes an eagle carrying a scroll case. And it's as if the eagle's flying over a set of mountains with dark blues and silver trims. They remind you of Stefan's lot, but they seem more focused on the work in front of them. Ari, they are the House of the Pavest. You know them to be the law keepers, writers, singers, entertainers, etc. These lots stand out to Sapphire. There's 2 of them, Sapphire. Both appear to be female humans, both with a long sword on their backs. They are straight-backed, cat-like grace, which has been used to describe 1,000 warriors before these. But they are radiating grace, dexterity. They have an aura about them that you are jealous of, only because you can see that their chi is full, whereas yours is obviously slightly diminished at this moment in time, and you spot them a mile away. The way they hold themselves, there is a focus that is more disciplined than your focus, which you've only ever seen once in those that call themselves Kansai Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And their coat of arms is a blindfolded eagle, and it is perched within a blossom tree. And the blossom colouring, one of them has an apple blossom colouring, one of them has a cherry blossom colouring. But it's a blindfolded eagle.
Okay.
Ari, you do not see any of the Rajator, the wizarding lot. There is none of them out and about. Doesn't surprise you, they keep themselves to themselves. They ain't going to be carrying wood and stone and anything around. They got fireballs to throw. You have a city within a wall that is 2 days wide.
Walking through
S
the
is
wall.
trying to keep an eye on all of the immediate party. Like,
Ruby's
Leon.
reaction on walking through the door is much the same as when she went into a populated town for the first time. Just this. What
It is
even?
tight.
It's tight and it's overwhelming, and try to not freak out, where she can see halflings. She's not going to interrupt anyone's work, but she's looking to see if anyone is wearing tartan or has any visible clan tattoos, and if she can recognise them, just for something to occupy her mind.
Give me a perception check.
Uh, 14.
14. Just where the group of scholarly types were overseeing this amphitheatre build, you didn't notice her before because she was behind a very thick stone pillar that is kind of part of the wall itself. But out steps from behind an 8-foot Goliath. Yep. She has short, spiky white hair that pops up. There is a great axe just leaning on the side that you're pretty sure nobody could wield, bar an 8-foot Goliath. Right? She is covered in bear tattoos all over her shoulders, her chest where it's showing. She's covered up herself because she's in Ravenholm and she's heard of Harry. But she's covered. Her core is thick muscle. Again, you've got the bear motifs. But the tartan you notice on her is one of neutrality and friends to Toa. So it's not a specific clan, it's something that all clans would give out. And it's a like a peppermint green with white. And all the clans and tribes in Toa, when they almost befriend an outsider or give them passage, they get presented this tartan. And this massive Goliath, she is hefting like 2 barrels on each shoulder and just passing them to what they're doing. She's clearly the extra workforce helping out, but it is a recognisable tartan to yourself. Kesrion, sorry, on Sandria's collar you can see speckles of red. You've seen speckles of red before.
Just kind of out the corner of his eye, he'll like sort of reach over and just kind of like wipe it off, but like make eye contact with her, like look behind it.
She nods, reminds you that she is fine, and stands rigid.
Ari, I think you're leading the charge from here, and he'll also kind of like scoot Ruby kind of into the middle of the group so that she's not quite so.
Ruby is kind of scooted towards Ruby's like grabbed nearest party member. Hang on.
Just scoot her in the middle so she doesn't. She's the smallest. She'll get most likely to get swept away, and we'll never find her again.
I am
Harry
small.
is gonna head towards where his grandfather's quarters were, as First Eagle, as he presumes that Elva will have probably taken over soon.
Okay, so First Eagle's quarters are more central to the wall. You guys have come in from the south end, so it will take you, it'd be late night before you got there and you've traversed through the wall. So,
In which case, then you probably won't want to disturb someone in the middle of the night when they're in the middle of a war. You'll probably more head towards somewhere that's a bit closer that they'll be able to just bed down. Kind of thing.
there are places of rest and jolliment throughout the wall, whether it be games, drinking, frolicking, etc. Anything that can be possibly thought of to distract a group of people from, daily death. I will point out that none of you can hear battle, but Ari, you are acutely aware that even now, the other side of the wall is a death vest.
Yep.
Moving
I'll
through.
kind of take
Go.
a glance at Ruby though and be like, he'll probably try and head towards someone that he knows will be a bit quieter. For her sake.
Oh, we are following you, little lord.
Just gets a
There is a drinking establishment en route. There's a few, but
good old taverns.
it's been a while. But the closest one is called the Tiny Tankard. but it's it's one of many. If you wish to go on past it, there are others, but you have basically a city to explore. Its layout is just very different.
Like he'll know quite a lot of the places, I imagine.
There's a good chance.
Knowing his propensity for taverns, yeah.
I don't know if we want to make as much movement on foot as we need to today. I don't know what the plan is.
Is there someone we should tell that we're here? I mean,
But yeah.
5 extra people could be an accident waiting to happen. And
So I mean, they'll know we're here. They'll know. But yeah, we can find somewhere a bit quieter and probably a good shout to move towards where I wanted to go. But we'll move a little bit. So we'll move like a little bit further on so that we're a bit closer, not having to travel like half a day kind of tomorrow.
So, are you looking for somewhere to spend the night to then go tomorrow?
Yeah. Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as you move through, you notice, and in fact it's quite amusing probably to Caspian and Xandria, that there is almost a marquee, the bazaars that you're used to in the deserts, but at all different levels going on around you, selling stuff. It's not as exotic as some of the stuff that you find in Surut, but they are very functional, and there's, again, you can see that it is constantly bustling and busy. You get the feeling that no one ever sleeps here, but it's not like Vegas. It's just very heavily distracting from the current situation they're in. But there is a lot of stuff merchant-wise. There are a lot of establishments you can eat, drink, sleep. There are a lot of homes all over the place, and there is a lot of construction work going on all the time, all around you. As Ari is leading you, you get the feeling you're going in a straight line. You saw the wall before, but whether the dwarves had spirit levels, who knows? But you are going downstairs, upstairs. Some places you're climbing ladders to get to another platform. Then there will be a nice castle floor before going into wooden gangways again. It is quite an amalgamation. Ari, you can't help but be surprised that the more you walk through, the more there's still, there is a complete mix of everyone here. You ignore the tiny tankard, you carry on. You know of a place that will put you within, a night's rest and a decent walk to the quarters, or at least where the Rycrofts used to live. Moving past a couple of the shops, you see that this is probably when I should play Sugar Dates and Pistachios, man. But there is calling out to you all as they notice that you're carrying weaponry, and you get that, come and buy our swords are better. How about a new shiny scimitar on Naginata and stuff like this. Ari, you are aware that there is very mundane and very expensive here on the wall, because who doesn't like a magic sword when you're fighting demons? The inn that you recognise as one that you frequented, maybe not so much as others because it is quieter, but seeing as that's what you're looking for Ruby, this is called the Soul's Yearn.
Yeah, we'll kind of gesture towards this. It used to be a bit quieter, this one. You can get a bit of a rest and travel on tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Head inside.
Okay. 2 seconds. You walk in. Your feet can be heard immediately on the wooden floor, as the people that are in here, very few of them, are sat quietly talking in different corners of the thing. The tavern itself has got a bit of a zigzag shape, so you walk in, there's a raised level and then another bit, so it's sort of like a Tetris block as you walk in, and the bar.
It's fit a space as opposed to.
Yeah, exactly. And the bar is on that like kink bit. Where you are it? On that kink bit where it raises up, but it's not quite the next level. And you can see small stairs have been made so people can get around easy. There is a bardic person just in the corner. They've got a hood pulled over, and there's one or two of them. They're just playing very, very soft music. You can hear it, but it's not like blasting out, let's have a dance. It's almost like a well-skilled practice. Everyone in here does appear to be human, at least at first glance. Much of the other races are not in here. But the bar is pretty much worker types rather than soldier types or noble house types. You don't see any sashes or symbology or anything of the other houses. Just a very quiet inn. And you are aware it has an inn because the bit that goes up at the top, it goes in and there's lots of cubby holes that are into the wall itself. That are a decent size of 1, 2 if they're going to snuggle.
Yeah, he'll head to the bar. Trying to check now how much gold we have left.
I think we had about 100.
I think it's cute you think you're going to be paying for anything inside the wall, Larry.
You have 200 gold, I believe.
Okay.
No, we had 200 gold.
No, you had 400, and didn't you throw 200 at it?
100 left. I wrote it down.
All right, so my bad. Luke's right. You could have got away with 100 gold there.
I know how much money I lost.
I'm just checking that before we go trying to pay for stuff, and then we don't have any gold. Yeah, he will kind of like head up towards the bar, and just kind of be like, can we get a room for tonight, please?
The barman's got his back to you. He's putting some tankards and stuff on the hooks. His grey hair is thinning on top, but you can see it was probably quite thick and long in the day, but it's a bit thin and wispy on the back of the neck now. He's in stereotypical tavern keep. Turns around, must be in his 50s, pushing 60, and he stops. His mouth opens a little bit. Lord Rycroft, welcome to the Soul's Yearn again. It's been a long time. Still same tab?
We might actually not have enough gold after all if Harry's got an open tab left. That will be of accrued some interest in the last decade.
My condolences, and he bows.
Thank you. It's been a long time.
Years. I'm honoured to have you back in the Soul's Yearn. A free round for your friends?
That would be appreciated.
Yes.
Thank you.
He does not look shocked at any of you, including Sapphire. Doesn't bat an eyelid.
Ooh. I'm not used to that.
And he will provide you all a free ale.
Oh,
Did you say you wanted rooms? Did you say you wanted rooms? Right, yes. Are they to go on the Rycroft tab?
I guess so. It's not something I've had for a long time.
Put it this way, if it don't, we're all sleeping on the floor. Because I ain't got any money. I mean, I'm going to sleep on the floor anyway, but...
We do have gold. Oh, okay.
Your gold? I don't want your gold, my lord. The family can pay. It's fine. The tab's always been covered.
Much appreciated. Feels a bit strange to move a family's tab when I've been here for a long time. Yeah, thank you for your hospitality.
Of course, my lord, of course.
He'll kind of awkwardly take his drink and kind of walk to the table. This is really awkward.
Ruby's kind of like looking at Cat and looking at Sapphire like, are you seeing this shit? Is this man being awkward in a tavern?
But and the two of them will just be like,
There is a slight bustling of people as the music stops for a few seconds, and a few people are now looking in your way. Well, your direction would be better English, but yeah.
It's kind of like.
And then they go back about their business. You were all, I'm assuming you were all sat at a table?
yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
In like the 5 seconds Ari turned away to talk to the bartender, Ruby's tank is
Gone.
not much left.
Yeah. Can I have another one? As you all sit at the table and are preparing to discuss whatever you want to discuss as you have the evening before you get your head down, and then you travel to the residence of the Rycroft family. Tomorrow, we'll call it there.
Woot bomb.
Yeah!
Ooh.
Thank you so much for those that have been watching. My baby's crying, poor Lucy. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. It was horrible having not to play for a couple of weeks because of work stuff, but we should be good for the rest of our lives. So thank you. If you're watching on Twitch or if you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Tell your friends and your family. I hope you're enjoying the story. If you haven't watched the rest of it, please do. It's pretty cool. These lot are amazing. And we'll see what they do next week. So, we're going to raid Ashana. I'm assuming she's streaming.
Yep.
She is, yes.
We're going to raid Ashana after this lot have said goodbye. So, thank you very much. Check us out on social media. Check us out everywhere. Thank you very much. It's amazing. We're 2021. We're coming up. Next month will be a year that we've been doing this sort of stuff.
Crazy.
So yeah, we might do something special. But yeah, so tune in for then and next week and every other day. And we're back on maybe tomorrow. I'll have to speak to Rob. But then we've got Cyberpunk on Thursday, more D&D on Friday, Pathfinder on Saturday, and the Beautiful Dice of the Beholder on Sunday. So
Then us again.
And then us again. Yay! We'll see what Harry does.
See how drunk Harry gets tonight.
So for now, say goodbye, players.
Goodbye,
Bye,
players.
Bye, players.
See you later. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Where's the bye? There we go.